Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Urban Forestry Committee. Today is Thursday, June 12th, 2025. And pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting will be held remotely. Thank you all for being here. We have a quorum. And let's just start, as we usually do, with the committee introducing themselves, and give me a flower, give me a tree you're feeling connected with. And yeah. Alphabetical by first name. Doris, I think that's you, right?
Can you hear me? That was a yes, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Hello, my name is Doris. I'm a member of the Urban Forestry Committee, and I am loving the dogwoods that are providing shade to my backyard right now.
Oh. Excellent. Joelle.
Hey, I'm Joelle Renstrom, and I'm actually currently hanging out in London at the moment. So I am just enjoying the fact that London is actually considered an urban jungle because there is so much green space everywhere. So yeah, I can't pick one. It's everything. Who knew you'd come to a massive city to get a bunch of green, but that's the case.
I am Marion and I love London. I haven't been there for a while, but London has so many beautiful parks and gardens. I agree. And my personal extra warm spot for trees right now is the sour cherry in my backyard, which is very quickly getting ripe, and we can't pick the cherries fast enough because this year the wildlife have decided that those look delicious. So pretty much, I don't know, 3/4 of the cherries that are already red are also already pecked. And there's some of them they're just pecking them until there's just a little seed hanging, which is I think that's good, like waste not. What a lot of they then do is they come and they just have one peck and then they move to the next one. That I don't appreciate.
I think I'm up next. My name is Michael Hendricks. I use he, him pronouns. I am currently enjoying in the way of trees a mulberry that a neighbor gave away, and we planted in our yard. And I've been looking closely to see if berries will appear. It's still pretty young, so I don't know if it's old enough to have berries, but it's growing vigorously, big leaves, making me really happy. And maybe the berries will come next year.
Okay. My name is Tori. I'm a co-chair, and I'm having a love affair right now with spiderwort. Because we've had a lot of great days, it's like the blue purple is just like stunning. And a lot of people feel like, well, it can be a weedy native plant, but I have seen so much activity on them versus like some of the roses I have that I don't see a lot of activity on. So that's been my balm lately. So
Tori,
yeah.
have you tried putting your fingers on a little like what it looks like a spent bloom? I did that the other day and my
Did it?
fingers were completely covered in blue ink.
Yes. I've seen it when it gets wet. It drips on the leaves, this like blue color. And I don't know if there's any sort of poisonness about it, but I mean, it had to have been used somehow, right? It does. Interesting. Thanks, Marion. Vanessa.
Hi, all. Vanessa Bukili, Senior Urban Forestry and Landscape Planner. My landlord planted a bunch of peonies in my backyard, and they are just beautiful right now. And I am not usually a cut flowers and put them in my house kind of person because I want to enjoy them in the yard as long as possible. But I decided, nope, this year I'm going to cut them, and I bring them inside, and it's just like warms up my kitchen. It's lovely. So that's that. We have one attendee also.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, because we like inclusion, transparency, and people participating. Anyone who is in the audience and who would like to be promoted to a panelist to engage and ask questions, we would love to have you. Do we got anybody? We do.
Hands coming over.
Hey! And Malik, here's Malik's here. Okay. Let's go to housekeeping, and then Anne, if you want to say hi when we start the public comment, let's do that. And Malik, hi. Okay, housekeeping. Tell us about housekeeping. Anyone, are we keeping house?
I did reach out. We talked about co-chair potentially offering it to Kala. I did reach out to her to see if she was interested. She is interested, but is only planning to be on the committee for 3 more meetings and can't be at 2 of them. But she would love to chair the August meeting if we're okay with that. I said we probably would be.
Yeah.
So we got one meeting covered. I think other than that, co-chair nominations are still open.
Yeah.
Any takers? Doris, you weren't here. Were you here yet last? You were. You weren't? You were. I can't remember.
I've heard the rumblings.
Interest?
I think I feel as though I kind of was taking a back seat on the committee for a while because I was starting a new job and I've been planning a wedding and there's been a lot on my plate. And now I'm just starting to like get involved in the subcommittees again, so I'm a little nervous to take on a bigger role until I'm able to confirm that I do have the time to do all the committees and everything. So that's where I'm at, but I appreciate the need for it.
Awesome.
Well, if anyone has a change of heart, just let me know. Okay, so with Kala leaving in 3 months, Vanessa, does it make sense? How do we do that with sort of knowing that she's going to leave? Can we start advertising for a youth position?
I was trying to think about that. Maybe. I don't know how successful recruiting in the summer is going to be, is one challenge.
Right.
Ugh.
Is school still in session?
I think it's about over.
Okay.
Does Kala have any suggestions?
Good question. That I should ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did have one other great youth applicant last time. Actually, last round we got like 6 or 7 youth applicants, but some applied and then ghosted me. So TBD on that. But I'm hopeful we'll get some good applicants and try to get through the process faster next time.
And our other youth applicant, have they been approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Hugo had a conflict today. She might come for part of the meeting. I told her to come if she can at all. But she has been approved and confirmed. So hopefully we'll be able to attend, if not
Okay.
some of this meeting, the next one.
Okay. And are they part of quorum?
Yes.
Okay. And Michael, yes, if things clear up, ease up for you, we'll absolutely.
That'd be great.
But no pressure. Myself and Leah will continue to carry on. Okay, let's open it up to resident concerns, and Anne, if you'd like to introduce yourself and say hello, and how did your Arbor Day event go? And I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it.
It went well. It was nice. And yeah, several city councilors came. So that was reassuring. and we got the plaques are up on the trees. So that's nice. I'm here because I want to hear about the changes to the Tree Preservation Committee. I want to know what they are. So that's one of my current concerns and interests.
Well, thank you for showing up as you do. Okay, who else do we have in as non-committee members? Anybody? So at this time, if committee members have any public comment or neighbors that have shared concerns with you?
I do see one other attendee. I'm gonna offer to promote to panelist.
Okay, while you're doing that, I have a resident concern, and that would be our beautiful white oak, swamp white oak, I believe, on Prospect Hill is kind of failing. So sad. So I don't know if you saw it, the one that replaced the elm. And I'm almost curious, like, can we just plant a bunch of acorns? Like maybe we planted one tree, right? That's significant. But then like plant a bunch of acorns around it to give it more life, to create, increase the mycorrhizae connections. So I don't know. As I've been really embracing planting trees together as friends.
Yeah.
So that's my thought.
It's a white oak, not a swamp white oak, the one at the corner.
Yeah.
And I think it would be fine to plant acorns. I can't promise they won't get mowed down if they're in the grass area. And I know Renee sent me a picture like a month or two ago, and I went to look at it, and I thought it was just some of the leaves that maybe had some winter burn from that weird cold snap we got. But is it continuing to look bad? As I drive by, it seemed okay, but I haven't stopped to touch it.
And I think my last investigation was a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it didn't look great, but trees surprise you. So I just yeah, it wasn't thriving. So I have like a 7-year-old tree in my yard that came in as an acorn, and it's gonna surpass the size of the calorie pear that's planted on the street right next. In case you ever at Boston Street, colorful house with the wild yard. So that just kind of speaks to, the sort of, strength of and vigor when
Yeah.
trees are able to be grown from seed. So that was my thinking there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. If you find some white, if you want it to be the same species, if you see some white oak acorns, stick them in the dirt.
Okay. I have some neighborhood kids that I can recruit for that. Okay, any other, does that spawn any other resident concerns? Trees in your area, Marion?
I just wanted to ask something like, and this is a little crazy, but just inspired by what you just said, I wonder if there's a way that we could, like, I have pulled out seedlings from my garden, as weeds. Is there a way, like, what would it take and how would we do it to create something? Maybe perhaps it's too late at this point of the year, although it might not be, but like certainly like right around the time that people do their cleanup, should we think about some way to try to encourage people to pull them out if we have some way to use them? Like to pull them out and pot them, and here's how you do it, and here's where you take them, and yeah.
Well, Marion, I have seen your vigorous participation the Somerville, like offering up so many of your plants. So, I feel like we have a good resource. So that's what the summer, no, you offer to the garden club and also the Somerville plant exchange.
Yeah, well, but I'm putting out seedlings, but I'm talking about specifically like I have pulled out a few oak seedlings from my
Yeah.
garden too, and those I haven't given away. I know there's a guy, Francis, who has actually offered up some weed oak seedlings that came up in his garden, but it's not a thing that most people do. Like we mostly
Yeah.
share things that we're likely to grow, but like I wonder if there would be a utility to these plants, to these seedlings in some environment, and what one would do about it in the future. It's too late for the year probably, but
Yeah.
just a thought.
Well, I have thoughts, but I'd like to hear from the committee. Thinking caps are on. Okay. So my thoughts were, yes, why not? And Marion, do you want to post right now? What I would recommend, like you dig them up, you have to dig deep, right? But don't even bother potting them. Just get some, some wet newspaper, some like, all those circulars that we get, wet those, wrap them up and like in the wet newspaper and I don't know, put them in a bucket or and I think it would be the transplanting would work best as bare root is my thought, unless they're really, really small. But if they're like, let's say they're 2 years old, their taproot is going to be like 3 times as large as what's coming out at the top. So I don't know. I have them coming up. I leave them usually, but there are places that are not appropriate, as in garden beds or I don't know. I think it's a great idea. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other, are you good on that, Marion, for now? Just,
Yeah, no, I was just curious as like if at some point there is a way that like if there's any place that at some point we are planning to, like for example, like the growing center is planning to do all these big planters, for example.
yeah.
And because of that, I saved a whole bunch of my perennial seedlings and extra bits or whatever for them. But like if there were to be a place, and maybe it's not even within the city, maybe it's actually something that Mystic River Watershed does or something. But like if there is somewhere where like seedlings or very small saplings would be like desirable, if we had a way to know that and let people know, I think some people would enthusiastically weed their gardens, like because I'm not the only crazy person who weeds their garden and gives everything away.
What about the Milwaukee Forest people? Because they keep small stuff and they might want them. Cambridge is putting in one right now, for example.
I can speak to that a little bit because I do work with biodiversity for a livable climate. They just pick the species so carefully. They have keystone species and they've got the 4 levels that they do the Miyawaki plantings with. I just feel like, and they do think a lot about the kind of symbiosis and stuff. So I don't know. They usually develop their planting list according to strategies that aren't just like, and they also need higher numbers most of the time than what, a community could source. But yeah, I mean, I guess if people wanted to plant them, I guess there would have to be some way to validate species and stuff. Like, I don't know if I would trust that someone knows what kind of seedling they'd be giving me. I don't know. There would have to be, we would want to be able to validate that so people aren't planting, Norway
Right.
maples all over the place or whatever.
I don't know. I think it's really still a good thought. I mean, if you can, I mean, I don't know how many non-native oaks, for example, are floating about in Somerville. So, no, I think it's a worthy endeavor. I just, Joelle, you made me think of the summit that's being held. The Biodiversity for Livable Climates are I'm gonna put it, how do I make it happen? Okay. Bio for Climate is hosting a Northeast mini forest summit on the 24th and 25th. So maybe that's a good place to ask that question. Also, I don't know if like Walter Kittredge, who lives he's at Oak Haven Sanctuary in Reading or Stoneham, and he grows a lot of trees. I don't know how his material is. If he needs extra supplies but Marion, I'd love to have a further conversation with you because I look at Prospect Hill and, in our wooded area, it's just all Norway maples. And I'm just wondering if we get a few other species established where we might be able to, I don't know, have a little more competition for them.
That would be amazing. They planted a bunch of whips, but I don't think any of them took.
Really? You've seen it, right? You've seen the
Black locust in there too, I think.
Yeah. And I think they're invasive in this area. Like they're not like I want to say like they're native to Appalachia or something. But they're so vigorous because wherever they are naturally from, I think it's a harsher climate, harsher area. So it's, they need that like aggressiveness, kind of like a staghorn sumac. If it's kind of on an outcrop, it needs that aggressiveness. So when you plant it in sort of a very lush area, they tend to take over. I don't know. I'm up for exploration, Marion, if you want to talk offline. Okay. Any other public comment?
I just wanted to ask and confirm to Anne Ryan, you mentioned you wanted to come here to get updates about the committee and changes. Was there anything specific or I didn't know if you might have meant the updated tree preservation ordinance? If there's
Yes,
anything.
that's what I'm interested in. And just from the perspective of the ongoing uncertainty about Cobble Hill, and anything that in any way that we can rely on city ordinances to, when the property is sold, to preserve the berm and the trees, is of great interest to us. I mean, that is always front of mind in my front of mind is where we get the support we need to speak to the preservation of the berm and the trees. And the 10-degree difference between Washington Street and Cobble Hill in the summertime. And if that has value to the city, right?
We do have an agenda item on that, but I can speak to
Oh,
it
good.
now if you
Oh,
want, or we can wait a few moments. I'll let the chair decide.
Oh. Which agenda item is it? Why am I?
Tree preservation ordinance amendments under updates from the city.
Okay. Well, I guess I just wanted to speak to Cobble Hill the process of Cobble Hill directly because the 90 Washington Street project fell through. And at some point is going to be slated for redevelopment. I imagine a mixed use project. So I think that's something we just all have to keep an eye on. And since you're right there, whenever they start having meetings, I'll I think we'll all just, pay attention to it. For context, the Urban Forestry Committee wrote a memo 2 years ago,
Yes,
so, supporting
Yes,
your efforts
right.
to preserve that. So I
Um,
guess it's kind of on hold.
Well, but they also are planning to sell the property, you see. And that, to my way of thinking, because they need the money to pay for the judgment of the increased amount that they have to pay for the land. So the current thinking is that the land is going to be sold. And how much control and who has control becomes very important to us if we're trying to save the berm and the trees. And I know that there's now general understanding of how important the berm and the trees are. I also know that the redevelopment authority said we can't live up to your dreams, in essence. And so my feeling is that we have to pay close attention to preserving as much of the space as we can if it is sold to a developer. And that's going to be a big deal. So that's why I'm interested in the tree preservation. Because then if the developer comes and says, we'd like to would you consider, doing less of your tree preservation? We want to be sure that we speak up to it if that were to happen. But most of all, it's just keeping it. I think at the present, we have more voice with the city because the city owns the land. If the city sells it, we have less voice, is my reasoning. I'm not sure that that's correct, but. I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Would you feel comfortable doing an action item and CCing me on it and Leah? So I just looked at the Somerville Redevelopment Authority page and I'm wondering, and if you don't feel comfortable, I can do this after the meeting. Benue and Campen is on the Somerville Redevelopment Authority, and on their April 22nd, 2025 meeting, the 90 Washington Street project had a status update. So perhaps we can get more information that way.
Okay. So
and
what were you asking me to write? In essence,
just to
what
reach
I just
out,
said?
reach out to Benue and Campen and say, hey, it's Anne.
Yeah.
Just attended a Urban Forestry Committee meeting. Tori CC'd here, wondering about 90 Washington, wondering about the update on 90 Washington. And I put the meeting in the chat, the YouTube meeting.
Okay.
And here are the minutes that were approved. Okay. But if you don't feel comfortable, just if you could reach out to me afterwards, just to remind me to do it, that would be
Okay.
helpful.
I'd be happy. I would be happy to do that. Yeah. You disappeared again. Can't hear you.
I appreciate that. Sorry. Okay. I think I'd like to move on and we can, discuss this again, the tree, when we talk about the TPO. Okay. Updates from the city. Vanessa or
Yep.
Malik.
Tree removals first. since our last meeting, I don't think there's been any removals except small dead trees that are being replaced and replanted. There's at least one hazardous tree that needs to come down soon on like the edge of Pearl Street that's almost in Cambridge, Pearl and Crescent. And there was a windy day, I'm just remembering, and some trees fell over, one in Seven Hills Park. I can't remember the other ones because I didn't see them as they came in, but there may be a couple. And one, there were two vehicle tree incidents. One tree got hit on Pearl Street right next to Cross Street. That got knocked over. I'm going to replant that this spring. And then a big tree got hit, a hit and run, so we can't recover any funds. On a big tree, a big linden, right off of Holland Street. What was the street that it was on? Oh, I am blanking right now, but it was pretty close to the traffic and parking office in Teal Square. So it knocked off a big branch and caused a split in the center, so that had to be removed. So other than emergency removals, we don't have any planned at the moment. Questions about my musings? Okay.
Is everybody okay? Was anybody hurt? Is
No
everybody
one was
okay?
hurt.
Okay.
No.
Okay. On to private tree removals.
No.
Okay.
Malik will
And-
take that one.
Malik? Or
Yeah.
so Malik, also, will you just introduce yourself and say hi and your role on the Urban Forestry Committee
Oh.
and what you do at the city?
Alrighty. I realized I was late for introductions. So hello, my name is Malik Drayton. I'm the urban forestry planner and I mostly deal with the tree preservation ordinance permit application process. So I'm here today to give you updates on permit applications, exemptions, and any issues revolving around that. So it mostly is the same from last time, the sheet, which was updated by the last meeting. So we're up to 21 permit applications for the year thus far. Since we average about 50 a year, this is about the halfway mark, so it tracks. So the latest one, which is currently in review, is Line Street, which is going to remove 26 trees. But they're all Norway maples. And I've been to the property previously, as the property has changed hands. But I need to go there and really highly scrutinize the property. I'm familiar with the property and it is inundated and heavily forested with Norway maple trees. And it all do seem undersized, but I need to dot my I's and cross my T's with this many tree removals. So I am currently working with the applicant on going through the process. Yep.
Is that 26 trees on their property?
Yes. Tori, you're on mute. I'm not sure if that was intentional.
Jesus, you think by this time, it's 8 inches for,
No, for Norway maples is 24.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
So I'll talk to the applicant, have a site visit. Yeah, this area and another area, I believe, that isn't removing this many trees had a swath of Norway maples, just a whole field of them. So it is happening in certain places. So I'll be taking my time with this one.
And it looks like the one on Ashland, that was after our last meeting.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, that was a huge silver maple. Silver maples get very large, they're fast growing, and then they begin to fall apart, scare homeowners. So it was about time for this one to go, anyways. So,
So with that resident exemption,
yep.
because of the amendment, are they still required to plant 10% or pay in?
No, typically with exceptions or exemptions, that's if it's dead or invasive. They wouldn't get they wouldn't have to pay mitigation fees in those cases. In a case where they would have to pay mitigation fee is if it's a perfectly healthy tree that, and then the only reason why they're getting the waiver is because they have the residential exemption. That's the case in which they would have to pay $60 per inch or 10%. But your exemptions, your really dangerous situations like dead trees or any situation where the waiver is received due to impacts to the house, say a tree is growing 2 or 3 feet from the household or the structure, then that's a case in which the waiver won't require mitigation, I believe. Yeah. But yeah.
Like here, it's listed not as a hazard, but was it just because they applied for a permit, but really they could have gotten an exemption?
Um, hmm. It, I I think it was I think I need to look at my notes, but basically, first and foremost, at this point, it was because it was owner occup owner occupied. But if I had looked closely enough at the details that were given, it could have become a waiver based on condition. We both so we both have seen what silver maples do when they're that size, that old. So yeah, I'll look back at the condition and actually add that there for more clarification on situations like that. And even more so now because of the amendment.
Okay, any questions? Okay, before we move on to the next item, our youth member has joined us. Luca, would you feel comfortable introducing yourself? And the prompt was, is there a certain plant, tree, flower that's been affecting your life or inspiring you, or
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Luca Choli. I was appointed to the committee a few months ago, and I was just sworn in a few weeks ago. And this is my first meeting here. A plant, or I'm thinking about basil. I it's just my favorite pizza topping next to pepperoni. So yeah, thank you so much.
thanks for being here.
I'm glad you could come.
Yeah. Okay, our next agenda item. Okay, we did private tree removals.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, real quick, I was just gonna switch to the exemptions tab.
oh, yes.
I do see Malik added a tree of heaven, and he provided the Urban Forestry Committee guidance, so yay for that. That's it.
Okay, Allie is not here, but
Yeah.
we'll let her know. She'll be enthused. And is that is that on the UFC website?
Yes, I posted the flyer in 2 places, directly on the UFC website and also on the invasive species website.
Yep, and I think I saw it on an Instagram post. For those who don't know, Allie, our associate member, did a very deep dive into Tree of Heaven management and came out with a really, really good back and 2-page flyer on how to treat them. And yeah, that was awesome. Okay, spring tree plantings. How's that going?
Good. As I mentioned last time, we planted 51 trees on in parks with the Mystic River Watershed Association a month-ish ago, 2 months. I don't know. I think it was in April. And I'm also planting 125 additional trees with my planting contractor. I have most of the sites ready to go. They started this week and probably have gotten 40 or 50 in the ground already. Somewhere around there. So we'll probably be planting through the month of June, but we're on track. And some of the sites have been updated on the website, the Urban Forestry website, not the Urban Forestry Committee website, but there's for our new folks, I will just share my screen again real quick. The Public Space and Urban Forestry website, I post a new tree planting map every season, usually as I go. So this is some of the sites. I've marked out more, but this is a start. And it has the locations and species of each tree. So it's fun to look at. Any questions?
Do you plant red buds in the spring or in the fall?
Definitely in the spring. I can't remember if they're fall dig hazards.
Okay.
But I got 6 so far. That's how many were available.
Well, thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? And just I can't see everybody, and I should probably switch my screen, but just interrupt if you do. Okay. Okay. TPO, Tree Preservation Ordinance Amendments.
Okay, so we presented and the city council approved our amendments, so it's official. The amendments were approved. I don't know why I said that twice. So the gist of the amendments that we proposed and were approved, we now have the Urban Forestry Committee youth member term is aligned with the academic year. I don't know if that means that youth members don't count towards a quorum. I don't really know what it means, how it changes anything, but once you're appointed, so keep coming. We added tree protection information and requirements for construction. So requirements that public trees have to be protected during construction, like streetscape projects and utility work. And private trees also have to be protected during construction if they're planned to be preserved. So you have to, you can't just work around a tree and cut all the roots and say you're gonna save it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also changed the private tree removal permit process, the waiver. So now, like Tori was asking about, homeowner applicants in the prior iteration could get a waiver if they lived on the site and could prove that for 1 to 3 family houses. If you owned the place and you wanted to take a tree down and you could prove that you lived there, you didn't have to pay any money or replant any trees. That was 100% waiver. We've changed that, so now it's a 90% waiver. So if you live there and you own the property, you still have to do a little bit. You have to pay a little bit into our tree fund so we can plant some trees, a little bit of a tree, or you have to plant 10% of what you're taking down. So this will have some impact. We still have all the exemptions for invasive species. So if you're taking down a Norway maple or another invasive that's less than 24 inches diameter, you still get to do that without replanting or paying. If you remove a tree of heaven of any size, you still get to do that, no big deal. In your case, and for Cobble Hill, I'm not sure how big of an impact the changes that we made will have, unless the people
The root
do
thing is,
unless the people do plan to keep the trees and they promise to, then they have to protect them well while they're building.
yeah,
But if they're going to cut them down, they're going to cut them down. They have to pay the same amount they would have had to pay before. So hopefully they want to preserve them, and then now we're going to make them do a good job.
yep. That's really good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Very good.
Those were the big changes, and then like some streamlining of wording here and there and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We do need to update a bunch of documents like Malik's information about private tree removal permits. So people don't know about this yet. So we're not totally being strict about enforcing it until we have time to update our information, which we plan to do very soon. We have been short-staffed, so we also need to put together some construction protection documents. We're hoping the tree warden can help with that. We do have a new tree warden starting in about a month. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that. Yeah. So that was the major update, that it was approved and that we're excited.
Yay. Okay, I do have a question about protecting the protection of a tree.
Mhm.
So is there like how many years out is the tree protected? Because oftentimes a tree might not die until a couple of years after. So is there a sort of an extended period of time that the tree has to be alive? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm trying to remember now because we went back and forth about this when we were doing the edits, and I think we ended up with no years. I don't think we have a year designated in there. The Cambridge ordinance has like 2 years or 3 years. It just gets harder and harder to prove that it was the construction that caused the damage. The further out you go. So we had originally put in like 2 years, and we took it out so that it's more like we just have to prove it. So if we catch construction being done without the protection, we're going to demand protection. If it's too late, we're going to document it, and we have that record. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it about proving it was.
Mm,
Go ahead, Ann.
How much construction supervision do you have to do?
We have the capacity to do about none. So we are gonna have permits. People who apply for permits are gonna get documentation that they will have had to have read, and they sign that they read it. with some information about how to protect a tree. If we now have the right, if we go to a site and see that a tree is not being protected, if we, are just driving by and notice, or someone calls it out and, alerts us to the fact that it's not being protected, we'll go out and inspect it. And we can now have the authority to demand that they do it better, and we can tell them what we expect them to do, which we did not officially have the authority to do before.
Okay, so if a Cobble Hill resident were to inform you that a tree was not being protected that would be enough to get
Yeah,
the
we
ball
can go
rolling.
tell them that there is an ordinance that they need to do blah blah blah, and here's what they need to do.
Okay, good. All right, great.
Malik, were you going to add something or say something before?
Well, yeah, in cases in which, it's really egregious and obvious, and there's clear photo documentation of roots being removed by a huge tree, that tree will be effectively removed, and they will be forced to pay mitigation based on that evidence.
We have done that before.
Yep.
And follow-up question. Had this amendment been passed, would this have protected poor Denise Provo?
No, it's still like your own property. So that's like a neighbor issue where the tree, so
Oh.
this is for those who don't know this case, there's a huge tree on the border of a property. It's a huge silver maple. It's gorgeous. A lot of its roots are on the neighbor's property because it's on the border. The neighbor property is being developed, and they're going to be building stuff right where the roots are. Can we ask nicely that they preserve the roots? Yes. If they don't, we're not sure we have any legal way to make them. The neighbor who owns the tree has the best case rather than the city.
Okay, I'm confused. Okay, the amendment that you guys hard fought and won, or got approved, applies to private property?
Yes, but there's also property ownership laws. So if you own property, you can do stuff to your property. And the stuff that you're doing may impact a tree. So that's like a neighbor issue, and the court may have to decide if I don't think they can stop the developer from developing the property. They may be able to get the developer to pay money for what the tree is worth. But I don't think you can't stop them from doing what they need to do on what they are allowed by law to do on their property. I don't know. It's beyond my legal.
So if this,
understanding, but
sorry.
yeah.
If this tree dies, there's no recourse. They don't, the people who are developing the property, I don't think it's resident owner occupied. If they're,
No, it's not.
so that, if it dies, do they need to pay into the tree fund?
So it becomes a legal issue between them and the neighbor. So the city is no longer involved in that case because it's not one property owner getting rid of their own tree. It is one property owner developing their land and causing damage to a neighbor's tree. So that becomes a whole different situation, and the city doesn't get involved in neighbor disputes. So therein lies the issue.
Well, it's not going to go charge Denise for the money the money for the tree that she didn't want to have cut down. So it's weird. It's all unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, that clarifies, because I was thinking it was, that clarifies it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the TPO? Okay, going on to the green score. Oh yeah, the green score amendment. Is this about the columnar trees?
Yeah.
Thank you, good job, but please update everybody.
Good. So the Somerville zoning ordinance includes a green score piece. So anyone who's building a new like building, a new house or a new structure on their property, or is renovating their property and increasing the value of that property by a substantial amount, which has a real number, but you don't need to know what the number is, and I don't know what it is anyways. They have to have a green score. So a green score is like a menu of options to get environmental benefit for the property. So it's like pick and choose. You can preserve a tree and get some points. You can add a rain garden and get some points. You can plant plants and get points. You can just have soil. Deep soil gives you lots of more points than shallow soil. You can put on a green roof. You can have permeable pavers. So basically outdoor ways to reduce heat, beautify stuff, and absorb stormwater is what gives you points. So this was created as part of the zoning ordinance that was passed 5 years ago. I don't know, a couple years ago. And we were testing stuff out and we realized that we on purpose gave planting trees high weight. So if you plant trees, you get a lot of points. But you got way more points if you plant a large tree, a tree that's going to be like over 25 feet tall at maturity, or over 30 feet tall at maturity gives you like 3 times as many points as a smaller tree because it'll grow to be a big tree that's providing a lot more ecosystem service benefits. But people, as they always do, have found a way to make the system work for them. And they're planting all these very skinny columnar trees, 6 feet wide at maturity trees that are 40 feet tall and getting this huge tree credit. And those trees have not providing the ecosystem service benefits that we want. So we have now, it has just been passed by city council or approved. We have changed the definition of large tree so that it has to be a tree that's over 30 feet tall and over 20 feet wide at maturity. So these 6 foot wide trees are not getting you good credit anymore. They're giving you small tree credit. So I'm really excited because a lot of developments, they've cut down trees. They have like maximizing their footprint of the building and squeezing in like a bunch
Yeah.
of columnar trees to pass.
Yeah.
And now they can't do that. So
Good. Yay.
yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
great. Did you say it was a 20-foot wide?
Yes, 20 feet wide.
Cool. I have a question, just knowledge wise here. Is it true in general that like a lot of the ecosystem benefits come from the wider canopy? Is that why it's such a stark difference?
It's like, yeah, the more leaves you have, the more benefit. So you get more shade, you get more air filtration, you get more, flowers if it's a flowering plant, more pollinator and wildlife benefit. Yeah, basically like canopy is what matters the most.
And the species, which you
Yeah,
get points for
absolutely.
native plants too.
Yeah, there's bonus points for native. Yep. So that was it. Just wanted to let you know. We're going to
Right.
get them. We're getting them.
Yep.
Vanessa, thank you. I know you have to pay close attention because I think PSUF assesses a lot of the green scores, right?
All of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for bringing this to everybody's attention and good work. The green score will probably be reworked at some point.
That was like
because-
an easy win. Well, we have other amendments.
Yeah.
We'll be working on and like are thinking about in our back of
Yeah.
our minds, but that was
Okay.
the easy win.
Well, I've been thinking about it and just I'll weigh in once we have more information, but just wanted to really appreciate you having eyes on it because permeable pavers, there's been some properties that aren't as green as we would have hoped with the green score. So
Yeah.
always work to be done, no rest for the wicked.
Nope.
Okay, and I'm conscious of the time. Is it 5:35?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Poo-poo. Okay, moving along. Okay, ongoing work updates. These are our working groups and committees and outreach. How's everything going?
I know Dorothy and Leah have been meeting. Marion, do you have?
Yeah, I guess I'm the only person who participated in that who's physically here. We got together at Dorothy's house and we pulled everything that you had in the attic and went through it all and did made very, very substantial contributions to the recycling bin. And basically we organized it in terms of like trying to think of the people. Why would people come up to our table and what would they be motivated to do? So it could be like just plain curiosity, like who are you and what do you do? So let's have a couple of things that directly address that, like, you know, a little flyer, but also like the materials like on, you know, tree ordinance, like all the some of that stuff. Then I love trees. I want to learn about cool trees. Some material that's sort of tailored to that, like here's some of the native species that we might, you know, like the list that you made about tree, you know, recommended species and all that, the pollinator action plan. We want to also, we haven't developed these yet, but like we will have the book, but then we were thinking of having little postcards with a URL, but also a scannable code for people who want to go home and read the pollinator action plan. And then another sort of section of this is like, I see tree of heaven or black swallowwort or whatever, or I don't know what is good, what is bad, what are the really terrible things that I should be watching out for. We had a lot of this and some of it is, especially on the pet side, we had a lot of stuff that seemed kind of beside the point. Like we had these giganto cards for what was it, Vanessa? I can't even remember what they was. It was some bug.
Asian longhorn beetle, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like way too much. So we just like really consolidated and we figured that the black swallowwort cards, the tree of heaven cards, those are the most important ones. And if we develop something else later, but we also could, you know, could have like at some point like an updated like most wanted weeds or whatever, you know. But and then I'm trying to remember what the last one was. I think how I can get involved or something like that. And it was based like, I mean, like, it's like very, very, like, we just tried to make it very, very simple. And we also created separate bucket, like separate folder. We put everything in binders that was like specifically like organized thematically. And we'll have like a bunch of stuff for kids. And if there's not really going to be space to entertain kids, then we won't bring the kids stuff. But if we do have space, then we'll bring it. And then we were also thinking that that really cool trees banner thing we could actually use in a different way, that we could actually try to organize ourselves to have a couple of us take responsibility for a park tour of those and just put them out in parks that have fences or in other locations that have fences, because they're probably not really like too big and unwieldy to have at a regular tabling event. Oh, and also the tablecloth looks awesome. So that's my update.
Okay,
You're
wonderful. Thanks for
ready
all
for
the, oh.
easy tabling. Sorry, Tori.
Oh, no, just thanks for all the work our outreach committee has put in. Is our Arbor Day on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
it's,
okay.
Yes, kind of.
Oh,
in
it's
now.
next. Okay, well, a great setup. So, Somerville Arbor Day.
Yeah. So for those of you who are new, Somerville gets to designate whatever day we want as Arbor Day every year. We do it separate from National Arbor Day because we're usually planting around now and would like to associate our Somerville Arbor Day with planting. So we have designated this year, June 26th will be Somerville Arbor Day. We are going to be doing a 2-hour event at the outside of the West Branch Library from 5 to 7. We usually have a lot of the UFC members come, so if you can, you should come. It's fun. I'm planning to plant a new tree near where the Norway maple was removed, so we can be like, see, we're making a new generation of tree, and talk about all our stuff. I don't know what exactly we'll be doing, if there's anything specific, other like activities, but we can always just stick with our normal tabling event. And I'm meeting with a few folks tomorrow to discuss more details. So if anyone who's not already on the meeting wants to come join, when is it? Isn't it tomorrow? Did I not set it up?
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
I did. Why am I not seeing it?
Noon, I think.
Because I'm looking at the wrong day. Neat.
1 o'clock.
Thank you. 1 o'clock, Arbor Day planning. So, if you're interested in planning and not on the list, let me know and I'll send you the meeting link. But it's usually a good time. Oh, and I got plants again to give away. I forgot. Allison helped me order some. So they are cute plants that are in our pollinator action plan. I forget what she ordered, but they're cute and native and good for pollinators.
Amazing. Look at us go.
Mhm.
The swamp milkweeds in my garden all came from whatever that Arbor Day was that was extremely wet.
Oh yeah, 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. And they're making it, huh? They enjoy it.
Oh, they are, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Same with the Rudbeckia triloba. Doing really well. I think that was one of ours last year, and they work, and they're robust.
Kind of a little bit beside, but just because you happen to mention Rebecca Triloba. Vanessa, who takes care of the planting, like directly across from the Ball Square, from the Ball Square Tea Station?
I planted the trees. I know one's dead, and then we planted a bunch of, it's city. We planted, I forget, Ruth or something that was from the Milwaukee Forest area.
But across the street, there's like a whole section that has what I'm pretty sure were Rebecca Trilobas, and the whole thing is completely dead.
In the little raised planter or the big raised planter? Is that what you're talking about?
The big raised, it's like they're across the street. So when you're starting to cross the bridge, right before you cross the bridge, like there's a whole area that must have had a whole bunch of them last year, but like nothing's coming back as far as I can tell.
Bummer.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to take like a couple of seeds from one to see if I could scatter them. And like I accidentally, like the whole thing came out when so it's like they didn't root well and whatever.
Bummer. It was just sort of a random experiment that no one's taking care of, so we probably aren't gonna focus on replanting that. It was like extra plants and we were hoping for the best, but if we have extra, maybe we can go plant them there. But I don't know that we're gonna pointedly plant there unless we have extra plant. Unclear. Except the tree, the dead tree, I'm definitely replacing. Feel free to see. Yeah, no, can't say it out loud. See it, Bob. Don't see it.
Speaking of which, Vanessa, will you put me on the meeting tomorrow?
Sure.
Because I got materials and things, I think,
Okay.
to share. A lot of Virginia creeper that I need to divvy up. Okay. Okay. Marion, will you be on the meeting tomorrow?
Wait, which meeting tomorrow?
Oh, the Arbor Day planning?
Oh, no, because I'm not going to be here for Arbor Day.
Okay. All right, we'll chat offline. I have some material for you. Okay, oh, the overview and startup question. Okay, we have a document that was spurred on by Dorothy. And we have 45 minutes left, right? We're okay. Okay, so what I would like to do is to answer another question on this document. And Vanessa, is that something you can?
Yeah, I'll pull it
Pull up?
up. I'm working on it.
Oh, cool. So Dorothy had a lot of questions when she first joined, and we have been slowly but surely going through each question and filling out a lot of this information that was, what's our purpose and our goals and why we're here and why we make certain choices and what inspires them. So, okay.
We've been
Staff,
working on answering it for like a year, but when we're done, we'll share it with the new member.
yeah. How do you find out? Laws, resources. Hey,
Yeah, I think we're
okay.
here.
Yeah. So, the question is, why is pollinator habitat a very important topic? Such as maybe it's why is it such as a big part of the UFC's conversations? Okay. Someone take a stab at that. Marion, Michael.
I feel like I've learned a lot from the committee, so I would be trying to repeat back what I've taken away over the past year plus. Um, I think acknowledging the importance that pollinators play in ecosystems and that they're incredibly dependent upon the tree life. And the choices we make as a city around trees we plant has a huge impact on pollinator health. There's my top high level non expertise.
Yay! Good job.
I guess what I would say is that the Urban Forestry Committee, to a great extent, is about biodiversity. That is a very big part of what we are concerned about. It is not just about trees, like as accessories, as like furniture that happens to be alive, but actually about healthy ecosystems and biodiversity. And a biodiverse, healthy ecosystem depends tremendously on pollinators and all the, and we're so far behind because of all the contamination, because of all the invasive species, that we really have to make up for it. Which reminds me, Tori, have you seen anywhere else, or have other people noticed a significant decline in bees this year?
I just don't even want to admit it. I don't know. I see a lot of activity right now on the penstemon in my yard and on the spiderwort, as I mentioned. And there were a lot of hoverflies on the zizia. But yeah, not as buzzing as, yeah. Sorry, I just got sudden wave of stress and sadness. Yeah. Anyone else noticing on their plants? Mary and I should say what has your observations
Oh,
even casual?
It's like night and day. Last year, you last year being afraid of bees would mean you would not visit my household because you could not stand anywhere in the garden without having bumblebees all around you. And like I took to comparing it to like an airport. It felt like the busiest airport in the whole world, just takeoffs constantly happening and landings. And this year it's like, oh my God, I saw a bumblebee.
Okay, all the more reason to continuing to use our own spaces, even if it's just a pot on your porch, to plant the plants that have that the pollinators and of all different types have evolved with. Anyone else on why is pollinator habitat and native plants such a big part of our conversation? Okay. I'm going to give my 2 cents, and this is sort of what really transitioned me from being a landscaper who did all the bad things before she came to saw the light. So importance of native species are especially trees, because they are host plants for a lot of our insect population, specifically our Lepidoptera, which are our butterflies and moths. And you think about what the babies of butterflies and moths look like, and they're caterpillars. And they are a food source for all the different levels above them. So birds cannot feed their baby birds seeds. That is not the nutrition that they need. They need to feed them squishy, fat, protein packed food, and that comes very much in the form of caterpillars. And I don't know what adaptation that gave robins the ability to thrive on earthworms, because earthworms are not native to this area, or at least 10,000 years ago. I think maybe there were some before the last ice age. So it's part of it's the basis of the food chain, really. So, we don't have food for the critters. We don't have skunks and opossums, and it's the basis of the food web for not just pollinators, but all of our critters, but especially birds, right? Heralds of spring. So and we have keystone species that are identified in Doug Tallamy's work. He's sort of the guru of the native plant movement, bringing nature home, Nature of Oaks. He has some new books out, and he and his colleagues identified like the top 10 species, tree species. And it's like number 1 is oak, hosting like 545 or something different Lepidoptera, whereas like Norway maple is like 0. Like you don't see caterpillars on Norway maple. So and I forget I want to say up next is like a cherry, and birches are up there, pines are up there. But it's a wonderful list. And in terms of herbaceous plants, you have asters and goldenrods 1 and 2. Maybe goldenrod is first in terms of host capacity, in addition to their important food source for adult for adult insects. And turns out blueberries as other woody species are really significant. So if you plant blueberries, you can plant them not just for yourself, you could just plant them for for their host plant value.
In my experience, cone flowers are also considered delicious.
But by caterpillars? Ooh,
My very, very mangled cone flowers will tell you about that.
thank you for your sacrifice.
You said asters and what?
Oh, yeah, goldenrod and asters like are number 1 and 2 at like 170, 150. Lepidoptera support larval forms of them. And milkweed is up there. You know, and then, but then we have like, you know, pawpaw, for example. So pawpaw hosts maybe 1 or 2 different butterflies that I know of, and one of them is the zebra swallowtail. So even though this plant doesn't host a ton, it's like it provides, it's the only host plant for a beautiful creature like that also deserves to exist. So it's I think it's a combination. Like if you have room in on your property to plant an oak, plant an oak. And then there's other reasons to plant ones that might not have as much lepidopter support, but provide fruit and host an endangered creature, which I think the zebra swallowtail is. Someone fact check me on that. And there's probably language from the pollinator action plan that we can add. But I think that's the gist. And I'd say the more biodiversity we have, and I'm speaking particularly of native plant species that produce, that support our insect population and bird population, the more variety, the more biodiversity in any environment, the stronger it is. Okay. Any other thoughts? I will put in the post Doug Talamy's, I mean, in the chat, Doug Talamy's top 10.
The only other thing I might add in, Tori, is about what Vanessa was talking about earlier, that like the larger the tree, the more ecosystem benefits it's able to provide. And so as we talk about tree protection, like that's why it is so important. It's not just like, oh, but if you cut it down, you can plant a new one. It's like, all right, but that new one's going to take 30 years to even provide probably half the ecosystem benefits that the first one might have been able to provide.
That's a really good point. And also, Vanessa, if you could add, you know, having bloom time, like starting in March, like late March, when, you know, we have our red maples and our pussy willow that starts to bloom. You know, hitting all the bloom times is very important, to get our early emerging pollinators their food source. Okay. Okay, that feels like we did something. And I did post in the chat, Talamy's top 10 woody plants and herbaceous plants. Nice.
I feel so good about the profusion of strawberries in my garden, all of which have also getting eaten very aggressively this year.
Excellent. Thank you again for your sacrifice. Strawberries make really great lawn alternatives. Too good, actually. If anyone's thinking of, you can just add little bits and, doesn't have to be a full strawberry lawn, but every little bit helps. Okay. It is 6. Let us go. Anything else on this item? Any other thoughts? Okay. Going to our SAP, species selection and planting protocol. All right, we have not met in a very long time, so I am overdue for calling a meeting. One thing that I was thinking about, Rushika, who lives on a private way, is trying to devise plans for being able to green a street that is not under the purview of the city. And I was thinking maybe the SAP committee could give ideas or, help out with, I think she's gotten some self-watering planters from Mark Chase. She'll be here in the July meeting. And we're trying to figure out what do we do with public ways if, the city can't plant trees. Okay, moving along, Somerville's most wanted weeds. Okay. I think Calla is leading that one, and don't believe we have any updates so that I know of. So we don't have that handout ready for Arbor Day. But that's okay. We got Black Swallowwort and Trees of Heaven. Okay. Oh. Let's see. All right, urban forestry related job postings and RFPs. Oh, and what about the saplings for last? And do you want to expand on your question?
Well, I was thinking of Marion's digging up the saplings, and could they go to that greening project? I think it was Marion who has all of these little tiny trees.
Oh, I don't have any. I was saying that I have found them in the past, but I was wondering if, yeah, they're definitely all over the city. I mean, I was looking and I had at least a couple of silver maples and 2 or 3 oaks this year myself, and I know that other people have a lot more oaks.
But could she use those is my question.
You mean for Ball Square area?
Well, whatever this street is that.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, Rushka, I had Pussy Willow that is coming down, so I gave her a lot of whips. So yes, that could be yes, absolutely. So, yeah.
Who is it who has the saplings this year? Didn't we mention somebody?
I think the reference was that saplings are coming up in everyone's or many people's gardens.
Yep.
And you know, many times we just pull them out, right? Because it's not where we want to
Right. Oh,
oak,
no,
for
I got
example.
that. But it was the 2 and 3-year-olds with the, with a really good root structure that she might be able to use.
That I think that's a great suggestion. And
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. No, good idea, because that could potentially add some greenery.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Tori,
Good.
for just to know, like, could somebody who's weeding their, and again, this is like more for next year, but like just almost out of curiosity, could somebody who's weeding their garden and find seedlings take like a bunch of, like the yogurt containers that like, I don't know, I buy yogurt containers all the time.
Mhm.
Like, could somebody like take yogurt containers,
Yeah.
poke some holes in them, put good potting soil in them, and actually raise some of those seedlings to like mid-size in yogurt containers in their house? I have no idea. I'm asking you more like, because I don't think a lot of people would keep seedlings, like oak seedlings in their garden and their flower beds for 2 years.
Yeah, and
I've,
yeah, sure.
I've done it in the greenhouse at Cobble Hill and it hasn't worked. I've tried. And I was really crushed but they just for some reason are not happy. At least they weren't at Cobble Hill. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. So so once you see the top part of an oak, if it's more than just a few leaves, like first when an oak, roots go first, right? So if you see an oak that's like more than 8 inches tall, it's already probably 2 years. I think if you were to raise it, oaks don't want to be inside, they sync up with
Yeah.
the seasons. Um, I'm guessing if it were raised in a yogurt container, that the roots would
They would do.
start
Yeah.
to go in circles, and I don't know if that would kind of set it up for girdling itself.
So you'd need more like gallon containers.
Or
Yep.
like liter bottles, maybe. Like the roots just go like really deep. Or my thought is you dig it up, you bare root it, and you try to plant it in a different space.
Yep.
That would be that is just my instinct, but I am so supportive of experimenting and encouraging people to do so.
It's another challenge is in the winter, if it's in a pot, the soil freezes
Mhm.
Yep.
faster and more.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yep.
might kill stuff too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Also, oxygen exchange. You can sometimes not nearly poke enough holes in something in order to get enough oxygen in the soil for the roots. It's just really going to be crushed by a new condition after growing in a nice lawn to being in
Yeah.
a bottle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what we really need to do is find 5 vacant lots, clear a nice
Exactly.
space, and create a makeshift nursery for them. We actually should do that. We have all this land that spends 5-10 years vacant. But
I mean, I'm interested in looking into it. Maybe that's something this SAP committee. I don't know when I'm going to call a meeting, but I will try to call a meeting before the next urban forestry committee meeting and just have a chat around these questions, right? Even if it's just brainstorming around nurseries or, you know, sourcing plants from people's yards or, okay. I've given myself some homework.
New members, just
Oh, yes.
we've been talking a lot about different subcommittees we have. So we have the outreach subcommittee, so that has a bunch of members, and they're, as you heard, like right now organizing supplies and trying to be in charge of tabling and some of the like outreach materials that we provide. So if you're interested, you should join that. SAP is SSAPP, the Species Selection and Planting Protocols Subcommittee, which is focused a lot on trying to find great species that can do well in our urban environment, species we might not be trying, or trying to like decide what species we should focus more on, even if we're trying them some. And there's some discussions with nurseries, like Tori just mentioned, trying to really promote nurseries to have more native species and to maybe sign them better. I know even me, it's really hard to find where are the native species in Mahoney's. I don't know. They're getting better, but still. And other things with plants and planting protocols, so how plants are planted. So if you're interested in that, you should join that committee. Somerville's most wanted weeds, we didn't really discuss, but that's like Kala and Leah, I think mostly. They're updating a weed information poster. I guess Allie's probably part of that too, and like educational materials related to weeds and getting rid of invasive plants. Kind of fits in that bill. Yeah, those are our main like recurring subcommittees, but anyone on the committee can form their own subcommittee. We have like short ones sometimes that are just for a certain topic, some that go on for a long time. So that's what those are.
A youth engagement committee? No
Crazy
pressure, Luca.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyone interested in the SAP, I can put you on, just reach out to me. Put my email in the chat. Oops. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna just check our urban. So we, in this committee, we like to see what is being posted on the Somerville Jobs website and also on our RFP, which is a request for proposals, and who are, if it's tree related. And oh, okay, Vanessa, awesome, thank you. Okay, what do we got?
Field laborers and DPW.
Parks and Rec. Crossing guard.
Yeah.
Youth equity, water sewer.
About it.
Okay. Aside from DPW general laborer, which does involve park maintenance, I think, or they're looking for heavy, yeah, public works laborer. So we say if you have anyone you think might be interested in any of these positions, please reach out to your networks. Nothing like a good union job. Who did get a contract last year or earlier this year. Okay, and Vanessa is looking at our requests for proposals and open bids. Okay, replacing DPW boiler replacement. Okay, request for Conway Park basketball court. Lead inspector. Okay. So closed bids. Vanessa, if a bid is closed, do we know who it is rewarded to?
Sometimes they post it here, but maybe it hasn't. I think usually when it's totally signed off and done,
Yeah.
the information should go in this table.
Okay, so for example, okay, this was a RFP, landscaping services. There's one that was citywide and one for Lincoln Park, so Always Green Landscaping Corps.
Yeah, it was awarded, so it's done.
It was awarded, so a lot for this particular RFP, it was in a lot of our parks, and there was need for having having fine gardening skills. I don't think it went into invasive species removal. I believe it was just being able to recognize native plants. But so, okay, good. Always landscaping. Okay. Oh, the ash treatment that was awarded.
This was a while
Bare
ago.
tree, they're reliable.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that'll do it.
Okay, good job. Thanks, Vanessa. All right, next we're going to the approval of minutes from our previous meetings. And I believe we have
Yeah,
three.
I didn't realize when I made this agenda that I didn't remember that we hadn't approved the other ones, but we do have February and March.
Okay.
We have not.
I need 30 seconds to review them. Does anyone else need 30 seconds? Okay, I just
Take
want
30 seconds. Yeah,
just give me
or a
just
minute. Go for it.
okay.
We have time.
Okay, yeah. And did everyone receive them in their email?
Yep.
Or if you didn't, let me know. Okay. Okay. Wow. Yeah, we got really good minutes. It's like you don't even have to be there. I think I would like to entertain a motion to pass, to approve. Now this is where I need help, Vanessa.
Okay.
Can we group them all together?
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes from our February, March, and May meeting. Any seconds?
Seconded.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and then we roll call vote.
Okay. All right, roll call. Doris.
Approved.
Joelle.
Approve.
Luca.
Approve.
Vanessa.
Approve.
Malik. Marion.
Yes, approve.
Tori, approve.
Malik approves.
Oh, yay! From the depths. Vanessa.
I already said yes.
Oh, you did. Okay. All right. Well,
Did you miss Michael?
Michael?
I also approve.
Michael, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. With that, our minutes are approved and we can post them online. And now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Marion?
adjourn. Oh,
Seconded.
Marion.
Yes.
Okay.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's give ayes. Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you Arbor Day.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.